I was scrolling through YouTube the other day and I noticed some videos that were titled Rate Me. And so I decided to click on one of them to see what it was about. So basically, there was a person who would be walking around in a public space, mostly at the mall, and they'd be asking people what they thought they would be asked people to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being not so good looking and 10 being the greatest thing in the world. The interesting thing about this is the person who would be asking people would usually be dressed up. They'd be decked out in their Nike or their fresh J's, their Jordans, if you don't know what J's is. And they would, if it was a female, they would have their makeup, they'd be dressed up nicely. But you never saw a person who would be asking to be rated if they were wearing their home clothes or if they were looking bummy. And so the reason why I mention this is because from my understanding is it seems like a lot of the younger generation nowadays, I mean, it may not only be the younger generation, but I see a lot of people from these videos who they might find their worth in the materialistic things that they have. They're relying on the opinions of others, the rates of others that they give to them. They are putting their worth in these numbers. And the thing about it is, yeah, maybe some of the things that we have, some of maybe the money, the clothes we have, and the makeup we wear, maybe these things do give us some worth. It doesn't really last long, if we're going to be honest about it. And sometimes the reason why people find their worth in the materialistic things is because maybe there is an experience that they had in the past that has brought their self-worth down, or has taken their worth entirely. They must have had a bad experience that made them feel worthless. But I want to share with you 2 major points that I believe is important for us to understand about our self-worth. My first point is that our worth is not defined by the materialistic things that we have. And it's not defined by our past experiences. And I will go into explaining that point. And my second point, I only have 2 points. This is my final point. But my second point is that our value of worth is so much more precious in the eyes of God. The value of your worth is much more precious in the eyes of God. And so let's just jump right into this. My first point, as I mentioned earlier, is that our worth is not defined by the materialistic things, and it's not defined by our past experiences. So when it comes to the materialistic things, the first thing I want to say is that it's not that I'm trying to say that they're bad. It's not bad to have things. For example, I like to wear my Jordans. I have a collection of Jordans, probably only like 3 pairs, but I have some Jordans. But my Jordans, or the clothes that I wear, they don't give me a sense of value. If I were not to have them, I would still feel like I still have worth in my life. I still am a worthy person. But the troubling thing nowadays is when we look at the media, a lot of what people are putting out there through music, the entertainment, the things that we're watching, is that they make it seem like the more you have, the more you are valued, the more worth you have. When you have all the money, when you have all the shoes, all the girls, whatever it is. But the truth is, those things can only make you feel good for a certain amount of time. The materialistic things can only make you feel worthy for a temporary time. It never really lasts, because you always end up wanting more. You always end up wanting what's new, and you never really become satisfied in your self-worth. And also, as I mentioned earlier, there are reasons why people do what they do. There's a reason why people are the way they are, and I believe it's because the experiences that they've faced in their past. And the truth is, our past experiences can have a real big effect on our self-worth. Our past experiences can really alter the way we think about ourselves now. It really affects our self-worth. And one example that I want to share with you, which is actually a personal story of mine. When I was younger, I played Pop Warner football, and my mom signed me up. And the thing was, I wasn't very good. I was a chunky little kid. I wasn't very fast. I was probably the slowest person on the team. And my dad made sure that I knew that. He came to one of my practices, one of my earlier ones, and he never came back again. He never really came to my games. He only came to one. And this went on into high school, until my sophomore year of high school. He never really came to my games. He would actually purposely find jobs during the times that I would be playing, so that he wouldn't have to come watch me play, because he used to tell me that he was embarrassed of me, and he would tell me that there was no way I was his son, because if I was his son, then I'd be a really good football player. And so growing up, that really had an effect on my mind, and it made me feel like I was unworthy. And it was a negative thing, because I wanted to find ways or things that made me feel good about myself. And because of that experience, it still has minor effects even to this day, on the confidence that I have in myself, because my worth was broken. And that's why a lot of people will try and find worth through these materialistic things. They try to find ways to make them feel like they are worthy, and that's why people do this. They seek to find things that make them happy, and it's because of the past experiences, and it really has a big effect on us. And I just want to say that your past experiences don't have a hold on your worth. And the only way for me to understand that is God has shown me that my worth, or your worth, is much more precious and much more valuable in His eyes than anything in the world. And here's a little passage that I have here from the Bible that I want to read. And it explains just how God has seen your worth before you were even born, before you could even know what worth was. He He is saying through this passage that you are worth so much, and he wants you to understand just how valuable your worth is. And so the passage that I have is Psalm 139 verses 13 to 15, and it goes like this. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. So there are two things that I want you guys to understand or to take away from what I just shared with you guys. The first one is that you are not defined by the things that you have, the things that you can get, your shoes, the clothes, the makeup. You're not defined by that, or even by what other people think. And second, your worth is found in God. God has given you a worth that is far more greater than anything that you can even buy, that you can even get. So believe me when I say that God wants you to know that you are very much worthy, and that He's calling out to you today to trust Him, to trust that He is waiting for you with open arms, ready to invite you in. Thank you.